What's up, Leron here, and today we're going to talk about how I plan my courses and my books. What's up, Leron here. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Business Monday, the show that talks about how to create an income from your art, the meeting point between business and art, how to make these two work together. And this is all from my personal experience. These are the things that I have learned so far. I was and still am able to create an income from my art. And a lot of people want that for themselves, whether it's full-time income, whether it's just a side income. You know, I think there's a lot to learn here, and I'm just sharing my own personal experience so far. Okay, I have a lot to learn. I'm still learning and improving, but hopefully this will help someone. And today we're going to talk about how I plan my courses and my books. So I have the free content, which is here on YouTube and Instagram and a lot of areas, the podcast, that I share free stuff. But then there's the paid stuff. Now with the paid stuff, the books and the courses, I really want to make sure that the product, here I don't judge myself, but with paid products, you want to make sure the product is the best it can be. And some people have asked me about how I approach planning it out, because, you know, people get stuck in many stages of the process of creating something. Some people get stuck just in the beginning and like they have an idea but they don't do anything about it, which sucks. Then some people have the idea but they don't know, and they really want to, but they don't know how to get started and how to plan it out. Some people plan it out but never do it. Some people do it but never post it. One of the steps that I think is really important is the planning, okay? So I'm going to talk about how I plan specifically my books and courses in the way that will make them hopefully sell more, but also be the best that they can. So I have a little bit of just a small note here. What I do is I start with my agenda or my goal. What do I want this product to be about? And I actually have a good example. The book I'm currently working on sketching people, I can start with that just as an example. So my goal is to provide a really fun, easy, but conclusive resource on sketching people. What I want is to help others reach realistic goals in sketching, realistic results in sketching people, but also have fun along the way. Okay, so that's like the key thing that I want to pass on to the reader, because a lot of resources on sketching people and drawing people are a lot about the technical, and they're very anatomical, and they could be boring. For me, it's hard to learn from such a thing. I would just rather throw it and look at the thing I'm sketching. Okay, so. And of course, it depends on your goal. If you really want to just learn the anatomy, then go for it, you know. But if your plan is just to be able to sketch people accurately, you don't have to have all that knowledge. It helps, of course, but you don't have to. So I wanted to create a resource that's both fun, but also with my approach, you can get to some very realistic results. Okay, not photorealistic or anything like that, but just correct. How to draw the human figure in a correct way, in a more than good enough way, you know, because if you're going to paint or draw a scene, you're going to be able to place a person in there and it will look convincing and it'll look great. And later on you can build on top of that. So that was a side tangent. That was the goal of the book. So now I have a goal in mind, and you have a goal. The goal is your choice, whatever you choose. I want to teach people how to paint still lifes in watercolor. It's your decision, or if you're doing something completely different. So in any case, I have my agenda or my goal. Then what I do is research, and research is one of the most important steps. You want to understand what's out there already, because you don't have to invent everything. And I'm not saying copy, but there is a certain structure to art instructional books, and if you can see and understand that structure from others, it really helps. But that's not the only thing I'm doing when I'm doing market research. So of course I'm going to go on, I can't talk today, so I'm going to go on Amazon and I'll search for a lot of books that are similar to what I want to do. And what I will do is I'll go over their table of contents. I'll hopefully also buy them and actually go over the contents and try and figure out what's out there, get a feeling for the types of competition that's out there. Okay, so that's in terms of the actual books or actual courses, whatever it is that's out there. But then I will also go to the existing reviews of all of the books. This is what I did with my books specifically. I would go to all of the reviews and I would filter by, you know, the 3 stars, the 4 stars, the 2 stars, the 1 star, and I would try to figure out what's working in this book and what people are praising, and then looking at the reviews that don't praise certain aspects. So if you go to the 1-star reviews, for example, you get people that are just angry and sad with their purchase. So you may not get the best feedback, but sometimes you do. If you go to the 3 stars, it's usually very balanced because it's not really a positive review, but it's not necessarily completely negative. So this is my favorites, the 3 stars. And so what I would do is I would read through everything and try to figure out what people love about this product and what people hate. And then I'll get a picture of what I want to improve upon, because my goal is to improve upon everything else that's out there. Okay, so I'm going to write down to myself notes on what my product needs to excel at, because a lot of people aren't creating products that are good enough in that field. And I'll look at the specific comments, and then I'm going to look at the things that I want to preserve from other products, okay? So if someone writes about a book that it feels really approachable and accessible and it's easy to read, then I'll say, that's great, that's important. If I'll see that comment a few times, I'll be like, okay, that's important for people. Then if I'll see other people that say, not enough examples, not enough examples, not enough exercises, not enough this and that, I'll know to write down for myself, do lots of those. Do lots of those, because then you can say, here, look at my thing, I have it. Okay? So that's the way I go about the research. You can do all sorts of research, but just generally, let's put that in under the research tab. You can do just Google searches and YouTube and whatever it is you're doing, the search on Udemy. It really depends on where your platform is and what you're doing on it. But generally speaking, research is really key because you want to understand what's out there. Now, after I did the research, I have enough information in my mind, so I go into the brainstorming stage. And the brainstorming, this is where the actual content starts to build up. So what I'll do, for example, what I did with the people book is how to sketch people and figures. I write down everything that comes to mind with this in regards to this topic. So it could be anatomy, proportions, hands, drawing feet. I'll just spit it out on the paper, no filter, nothing. I just write everything down. Okay, and that way you can do like a session of maybe a few sessions of 20 minutes of just spitting out all of the ideas you have, okay? And then you can do another research round and you'll get new ideas, and so it works that way really well. And then once I have all of the ideas, here's the fun part, and here's the part where if you're more logical and I guess, I don't know if it's right side of the brain or left, whatever, but if you're more into the technical side of things, you'll love that. I go over everything I wrote because the brainstorm stage is really an idea stage. It's really flowy, it's really creative, but here comes the realistic stage, I guess. I group the different ideas that relate to one another. So if I have the idea of how to draw hands, how to draw feet, these go hand in hand together. If I have an idea of exercise on this, exercise on that, those are exercises, I group them together. Okay, if I have, it really depends on the topic, but for example, with my How to Shade book, I did like radiant light, and then I talked about reflective light and environment light, and then it was like, okay, so all of these are kind of extreme light conditions. I'm going to merge them together into one chapter that talks about one part that has chapters on extreme light conditions or different light conditions or advanced light conditions. So I would group those, and this is where it becomes really fun because you group them into groups, and these groups actually form your parts of the book. So the way I build them, structure my books, the courses are a bit different. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But the books, the way I structure them is I'll have a part and then chapters under it. Okay, so if there's a part about exercises, then I'm going to have the don't lift your pen off the pencil, of the paper exercise, and I'm going to have mirror drawing exercise, and then I'm going to have negative drawing exercise, negative space, whatever it is you do, cross-hatching exercise. I'm going to group those together into one part. So this is a very, I think, right and left side of brain kind of way of approaching this, because first you spit out all of the ideas you have and you already did your research, and then you group them into different topics that work well together. And I have to mention that this stage is really, that's a creative choice. You can decide to group different ideas together depending on what you think. There's not just one correct way of doing that. But this will actually produce the table of contents. So I look at all these different groups of items, I write them down in a list, and then I try to figure out what comes before, what part comes before the other parts in the order of them. So, for example, the basic human anatomy that I do talk about just very briefly in my book, this will go relatively to the start, because later on when we're going to do exercises, they're going to need this knowledge, okay? But then I have the shading part, part of the book. This doesn't necessarily have to come in the beginning, because my first few exercises are planned just for drawing and visual perception, and I'm not even going to shade. So I'm going to push that down below. You see what I mean? And then you slowly have a table of contents. Once you have a table of contents, for me, that's a really easy jump from that to actually creating the content. If it's a course, then I'm actually going to write down the lectures, what I want to talk about with each lecture, and then I know how to record them. If it's a book, I'll just start writing the thing. And this is a very good way that works for me for content creation when it's a paid content. Here on YouTube, I allow myself a little more freedom, a little more spontaneity. I barely have a plan for this video. My only plan, let me show you the plan, and I don't want to spoil the next video, so I'm going to show you. This is my plan for this video. Do you see this? It's like Business Monday 7. It's irrelevant what that means. And then you've got the whole, I can read it opposite, agenda, goal, research. That's all the notes I have for this video. So I'm very free about it, very loose. But when I do the other, paid products, I put in a lot more effort into them. And I think this is what allows you, you have to be able to choose your battles. That's what I say. So if you're gonna make free content and you can see that people react to it positively, drop all the judgment and just be free about creating it, because you will be able to provide more value. If you keep judging yourself, you'll end up doing, like, in my example, 1 video a month. If I would keep judging myself and trying to perfect everything, it just doesn't work. 1 video a week, it's not good enough. I know that my content, even if I wing it, it's gonna be good enough, and more than good enough. It's gonna be entertaining, it's gonna teach people, so why not put it out there? When I do the paid stuff, I put a lot more effort in it. I can tell you that the course on, my course on sketching people, that it's called Sketching People Masterclass, it's still not out, it's gonna be out soon, and I will put links and everything. I worked on it for, I don't know, like 6 or 7 months. Like it's really, there's a lot of exercises there, there's a lot of extra content, the bonus, there's a PDF version, so it's a lot of work, and I'm just now near there's a spider, and it jumped on me, so that I can't believe that just happened. So in any case, I do a lot more robust research work. I'm just gonna get rid of it. Sorry about that. So in any case, I do much more robust research work when I'm actually creating a paid product. That's the bottom line of this. And if you want to create a paid product, you probably need to put in a lot of research to it to make sure it's the best, because people are gonna pay money for it. And of course, it's your name out there, that you want to make sure that you produce good content. So let's wrap up this video. I'm going to just conclude very fast what I talked about, and later on, let me know in a comment if you want me to expand on something, okay? So first off, I have the agenda or goal. This, you have to think with yourself what you want to achieve with your paid product. Then I do the market research and the competitor research, figure out what's out there, what's good about it, what you'd like to improve upon, because if you're doing something, you better improve on what exists. That's my rule, at least for everything. Then I want to brainstorm, just spit out ideas, free flow. Then I'm going to group all of these ideas into different topics, which will create my table of contents, and then I just start producing it in whatever form it is. We can talk about that in a future video if you're interested. So in any case, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Business Monday. I like the balance that we get here, because we don't talk just about selling or marketing, we talk also about creation. And this is one of the aspects that I enjoy the most, actually. I figured this out when I just got started with my books. What I enjoy the most is to sell products that I created. Okay, so I'm not necessarily a sales person, I'm not that salesy, but I am good at selling what I create, because I believe in it and I know it from end to end. I know everything about it, I know its unique value and everything. So this is what I enjoy the most, and this I think is a good line of topics for videos to talk about on Business Monday. So let me know in a comment what you thought of this one, and if you're in a situation where it helped you, because I think anything I can do to help people get rid of excuses is going to be good. If your excuse is, I don't know how to create the whatever, then it's not a reason not to create the thing that you are doing, okay? If you have something you're good in and people continuously compliment you on it, there's no reason, especially if you want to create a side income from your art, there's no reason not to turn it into an information product and sell it. Just try, go for it, see what happens, you know? Especially if you have another job and you have a main source of income, just just do it and see what happens. So this is what I'd like to encourage you to do. There's a lot of people out there who are so good at teaching and are so good at their craft, and they don't put their information out there. Of course, some people don't care about it. They don't want to teach, they don't want to interact with others. That's fine. They just want to create their art, and they're going to be masters at it. They're going to be the best because they don't waste time on making products. That's 100%. But if you're in the other group, then don't let excuses stop you, okay? Just go for it and see what happens. So I really hope this one taught you maybe something new and encouraged you. And this is it for today. I will see you again in another episode of Business Monday really soon. Don't forget to check out the links below. Beginner's drawing course if you want to learn how to draw. I think the podcast will be relevant if you enjoyed this video, because in the podcast I talk a lot about business stuff as well. My Patreon page if you want to support me in any way. I'm doing some changes on Patreon, okay? I'm posting once or twice a week because it's just, I have such a huge workload that I actually need to produce more and more and more. But the more support I get there, the more time I'll actually have to work on there. So I always say, like, the Patreon is just if you want to support me. It's not anything crazy. It's personal updates, video sneak peeks, things like this. I don't create full tutorials there. So if that's what you're expecting and you're supporting me there, you can remove your pledge. I'm sorry about that. It's just a place for you to support me just because you enjoy what I do, okay? And then I try to provide something in return, but it's not going to be like the most crazy thing. Actually, if you want a crazy thing, go check out my courses because I sell them with tons of bonuses, like a lot of bonuses that are really good. So in any case, again, this was the longest wrap-up ever. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in another vid real soon.